Okay, hopefully this has worked and we are live now. I don't know what we did wrong last time. It really wasn't live. Yes, I think we are live. I don't know what happened. I'm very sorry for the fact that we are now late. That wasn't my intention whatsoever. So, hopefully there's a couple of you waiting for me. I'm sorry for those of you who are like, you said 3:30, you weren't here at 3:30, and that we are up and running properly. I will just quickly check on Facebook, because if I hadn't checked last time, I would have been talking to myself for quite a while, and we don't want to do that, do we? Hopefully you followed a fabulous day. Hopefully I'm not saying that to you twice today, which is quite unfortunate. Yes, I can see we are live, which is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so we want to talk about something today that is important, okay? And it's the one thing that all dogs need to succeed. Now, I know on the weekend we covered some of the things that are important as well, but this is something that I think is maybe misunderstood, and our experts would definitely say is potentially misunderstood, and maybe not focused on. And the thing I want to talk to you about is self-control. So I've got some notes for myself by here because I don't want to leave anything out. I am not a dog training expert. Our experts are our experts, but I just want to cover some of the stuff that I see over and over again in our group and with our members, and things that are really important to you guys to get focused on in order to get the best results, because that's what we all want. We don't want to be frustrated with our dogs. We want to be doing a fantastic job with them and really enjoying it. Hi Jem, afternoon. Jem, it all went wrong a minute ago. I thought I was talking to people. I wasn't, but I'm back here and we are up and going. So Gemma is one of our group experts. She's absolutely fantastic. Sam is on here as well. It's 3:30 must be the time that I can get all the experts in one place, bless them. Hi Sam. Sam is another one of our amazing experts as well. So they will tell you this stuff in detail. I am just covering what I want to cover from my perspective, being the founder of this group and seeing how people struggle, okay? So one of the things that I think people struggle with is this point around self-control with their dogs, okay? Now, I want to talk to you about it from a human perspective. Self-control is what stops us putting our hand back in the cookie jar. And I know a lot of you are probably laughing to that and thinking, well, I don't have much self-control on that. That is something that I can't control myself on. Or you may be thinking, oh, I've got that nailed. I'm really, really focused on my nutrition. I make sure I don't, make silly mistakes, etc. And that's what it's like for our dogs. Self-control is the point where they go, I will choose to do the right thing in this situation rather than potentially the thing I want to do. Now, we all want to put our hand back in the cookie jar. Our self-control might be around the fact that we know we shouldn't for whatever reason it is. We may be dieting, we may be thinking about our sugar content, we might not be eating a lot of carbs, whatever it is, we have a reason for doing something. So self-control for a dog is very, very similar. They have a reason for not making the choice they want to make. So I want you to really, really think about that and what that takes for a dog. So for us, we have our human perspective on things. We have loads of stuff that's come into our lives that we've been taught what is right morally, what is wrong morally, what we should do in certain circumstances. And some of those behaviours we are asking our dog to follow when it's all completely foreign to a dog. Why should a dog follow our self-control rules? And it's really hard when you think about it like that, isn't it? Why should they? Why should they sit when we throw a dummy in? Why should they not chase that rabbit? Why should they patiently wait while we drink a coffee? Because they may not want to do those things. They might want to do something completely different. So self-control is more than steadiness. It's more than like sit or stay. It's the reasoning behind why they make the choices they make. Does everybody understand that? Like Sam said, trouble is my kitchen cookie jar is always empty. So it's my Sam, because I keep on eating from there. But yeah, so that's the type of thing, isn't it? It's getting them to choose to make a decision that is correct in that purpose, okay, or in that environment. what are the benefits of our dogs having self-control? Well, the benefits are massive because it means that it comes to a point where we are not training in the same sense. So what I mean by that is, when I used to go out and train with my dad, I would have to be like all over my dog. And what I mean by that is I would have to be reinforcing things. I was probably making huge amounts of mistakes. In fact, I know I was, because I was very, very new to it all. But my dog was very new to it all as well. So I was very conscious of what they were doing all the time. And they were probably thinking, well, why is she always on me for this, if that makes sense? Whereas my dad's dogs just sat and waited for him to nod at them. Like, it was just baffling to me. They had self-control. He didn't need to say sit when he stopped. They all just sat. And they didn't need to be told, like the pack told to wait while he called one forward to go for a retrieve. They just knew that was the way it was going to go. And they showed huge amounts of self-control. They just knew the process. Now, you think what it must have been like for any of Dad's dogs, especially the younger ones, like when they are like 6 months, a year old, to go, I'm just going to have to wait here until he nods at me and tells me this is my turn. Like, think about that. That's such a huge amount of self-control. And why is it that we think that dogs need self-control to succeed? Well, it makes life easier long term for them and for us. And what I mean by that is, let's go back to our cookie jar. If we have no cookies, the choice is made for us. That's not self-control. That's just like the environment has chosen for us. But if it's full and we've got self-control and we're like, okay, well, I'm going to have one today, but I'm going to have it tonight at 9 o'clock. And that is going to be my amount of cookies. And we are happy with that decision and we can work with that all day and not be like really, really stressed out by that. Then that's like an amazing amount of self-control. And what happens for us is when we have that amount of self-control, the day gets easier because we are not thinking all day, I know there's cookies in the cookie jar. We don't do all that because we've made a decision and are happy with the decision we have made. Dogs that have really good self-control, they're happy with the decision they have made, and they have made their decision. They're happy to sit and wait. They're not flustered by it. A dog that's not really mastered self-control is a dog that you'll see, they're like this when a dummy goes, or they're sort of holding themselves back without having to be told. They're showing steadiness, they're showing self-restraint, but there's not really full self-control yet. They're having to really work hard to not run in on something, or to not break and do something else, or to return on a whistle, all those types of things. So give me some like thumbs up or some likes if you know what I'm on about. And if you're watching it live, give me a live. And if you're watching it on replay, give me a replay. But just thinking about what that takes and what that involves for the dog, it's a massive feat for them to master. I want to talk a little bit about why self-control is something that we teach within our membership. We teach it within our membership because dogs with self-control are far easier to handle because they are making a lot of decisions for us. They are already ahead of the curve, if that makes sense. They don't need us to tell them to wait. They're already waiting. So for us as handlers, there's less for us to do because the dog is doing some of it for us, if that makes sense. So from my perspective, when I look at our members, where self-control hasn't been something that they've been teaching, they struggle because they're always having to be telling their dog what to do next. They're always having to be thinking about every part of the process rather than the part of the process they are working on at that time. I hope that makes sense. I want to talk to you as well about like easy ways that you can teach self-control. We teach huge amounts of this within the membership, but easy ways that you can teach it is simple things like waits when you go through doors. You know, so the dog knows that if you're stopping, you're going to ask for a wait. Patterns of behaviour, they're going to wait, and then you're going to open the door. Things like that. They're just little ways you can train a dog to then show self-control. what will happen over time is, as you get to the door, the dog will sit down and he will wait, because he knows that's the process by that door. He will show his own self-control in contexts which are not always out on the field training. You can teach this stuff at home, where you've got access to your dog and how you train them 24/7. You're not out there waiting until you throw a dummy to teach this stuff. You can teach them at home when you're asking them to maybe sit before you put their food down, or you're asking them to stay on the floor in a settled position rather than jumping up all over you. They are showing the restraint you're going to be needing them to show. Consistency is key. Small pieces of work towards self-control with your dog is without doubt, from what I've seen with our members and from what I've heard our amazing experts teach, it is without a doubt the best way to do it, because self-control isn't something that can be taught in one big swoop or in an intensive block. It's something that we build up regularly, and think about that from our perspective too. That's how we teach ourselves self-control. Yeah, we don't do it just by our family or mum or dad just telling us something once. It was consistent behaviour from them that taught us how to learn to restrain ourselves. If teaching your children to sit still in a show, you know, when they had to go and see their older siblings do something, you have to teach them to sit there for that amount of time. And you best way to do that is to teach them things like sit at the dinner table. You know, you can teach things that you want to see in an external environment, in an internal environment. So let me just go through my notes, because I want to make sure that I haven't missed anything out, that the experts are going to shout to me out, be like, why didn't you cover this? I think I've covered everything. Encouragement. I hope this little video has encouraged you to think, I can do these things. Like, I could be doing these little things with my dog. I could be asking for these sits, these weights, these shows of like control from them, so that when I go out training in a official sense, they are better at it because they're used to the process. And I want to reinforce with you that self-control does transform training without a doubt. When you are working with a dog that has self-control, it is far, far easier than dealing with a dog that shows no self-control, because you're always going to need to be watching the dog with self-control in a way you don't, that has no self-control, than a way you'd watch a dog that does have self-control. Said self-control way too many times now, and I'm still thinking about cookies, and I'm probably going to go find one. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's been something that's been informative, and something that we put out in our open areas to all our community, men and women. I hope it's something that's going to be helping you with your dog training going forward. If you want to hear the experts and not me, because it is the experts you should be listening to more than me, join us for our free webinar. There wasn't meant to be another one at the end of this year, but we have put the last one in. It's on the 20th of November. It's all about bulletproofing your training, and it's going to be fabulous. I have been working with them to put together the content, the stuff that I'm like, this is the stuff we really, really, really need to put into that 90 minutes to make it absolutely amazing, to really, really change people's dog training. And it's going to be on the 20th of November. If you haven't signed up for it, it's totally free. There's no charge, there's no gimmick, there's no catch. It is there for you. The experts are going to train each and every single one of you. Make sure you've got access to that. I'm going to put the link up for you as well, so that you've got the link for it. And I hope you've enjoyed. I'll leave this up here as a replay so that people can watch it as they want to. And I shall speak to you all very soon. Goodbye.